Argylle is a new film by filmmaker Matthew Vaughn, and it is about Ellie Conway, played by Bryce Dallas Howard. She is an author that writes a series of spy novels, but then turns out that everything she writes in those books emulates what happens in real life. And so she comes across an actual spy, played by Sam Rockwell, protects her from somebody that is trying to kill her, and trying to figure out how she's able to emulate what's happening in reality into her books. Now, Matthew Vaughn, he's one of those filmmakers where he's not particularly one of my favorites, but he has made movies where I've walked away enjoyed very much. I've never seen Stardust, but I love Kick-Ass, loved X-Men First Class, and a lot of people say that it is the best X-Men movie ever made. And while I respectfully disagree, I'm also not going to tell anybody that feels that way they're wrong. And then he made the Kingsman movies. The first one was one of the most surprising films that came out in 2015, and the sequels that followed after, I don't think they're as bad as everybody makes them out to be, but they're still a step down from that first one. And now Matthew Vaughn brings us something completely new, which I was very excited for. I was happy to see him step away from the Kingsman franchise for a bit. And I saw the trailer for it. I was like, yep, I am interested. Then I finally saw the movie and I walked away, enjoyed it, but at the same time, walked away feeling like it was both the best and worst of Matthew Vaughn as a director. First off, let me say this right off the bat. Do not go into this movie thinking that this is both Henry Cavill and Dua Lipa's movie. If you really did not see the trailer for this movie, hey, that's on you if you walked into this movie a little disappointed that Bryce Dallas Howard and Sam Rockwell were the two leads of this movie. If you didn't see the trailers, and if you've been following the posters and you looked at the poster and didn't think that they were like, hey, that's on you. Henry Cavill, he's in it at best, maybe 7-10 minutes. And Dua Lipa, she's in the movie long enough for them to use her name for all the publicity. And the movie centers around Bryce Dallas Howard's Ellie Conway, who is, again, a writer. She writes these spy novels. And I did enjoy the movie at first as it was starting to get going. Like, once she figures out what's going on, I thought the movie was kind of interesting because she's writing her own little fantasy about what the spy life is like. And then when she comes across an actual spy, it's almost the same, but still not what she expected. Basically, the contrast between Sam Rockwell and Henry Cavill. That angle, I thought I was pretty interested. I was kind of interested in that because it also gets her out of her comfort zone a little bit. And then, of course, there's also the twist of get ready to meet the real Agent Argylle. And let's just say when they reveal who that is, I was like, not what I expected, but at the same time, not what I expected still. And then even after that twist was revealed, the movie still went to go make twist after twist after twist. This movie started making too many twists that the film just started to get a little convoluted. And of course, the CGI in this movie is bad, but saying the CGI in this movie is bad is just a given because that's what happens when you have overworked and underpaid visual effects workers. And plus, it's just the new norm that this is just what cinema is right now with special effects. So, but that being said, I did like some of the action scenes in here, though there was a point, especially towards the third act of the movie, where it started to get nonsensical. Like, there's one action scene involving dancing and smoke, and once you see it, you're like, what are we doing here? And then there's another action scene right after that that involves oil and ice skating. And at that point, I was like, all right, this is getting ridiculous. Because up until that point, I thought the movie was pretty grounded in reality. But then once it started doing all that, that's when I started to check out for a little bit. And that's where I say this is both the best and worst of Matthew Vaughn, because all of Matthew Vaughn's good tendencies are on display here, but at the same time, all of his bad tendencies are on display here. As for the cast, I already mentioned Henry Cavill and Dua Lipa, but Bryce Dallas Howard, I thought she was fine in the role. I thought she did a good job at playing just a lonely Arthur cat lady. And let me go back to the cat real quick, because the visual effects for the cat, I mean, look, you can CGI stuff here and there, but a CGI animal, to me, that is just pure lazy. Y'all really couldn't find a real cat for some of the more simpler scenes and then use a fake-ass CGI cat for some of the more extreme scenes. But back to Bryce Dallas Howard. Like I said, she was fine. I thought she did a good job of playing a lonely but in distress cat rider lady. And plus, I think she just has some of the best reactions to some of the ridiculous shit that happens in this movie. Sam Rockwell, he was his usual charismatic self, and he definitely brought some life to the movie. As for the other cast, I mean, you got Bryan Cranston and Catherine O'Hara, and for what they were given in the movie, they were fine, but not really memorable. Sam Jack, he's in the movie just enough to justify paying to have him in this movie. Ariana DeBose has an appearance in this movie, and what they do with her character, I'm like, okay, between Wish and now this, it's like Hollywood, y'all are really doing this girl dirty right now after she done won her Oscar. There's even an end credit scene in this movie. Like, I was on my way walking out, but then I started hearing dialogue as the credits were playing. I'm like, wait a minute, hold, guys, because I saw the movie with some people, and I was like, hold on, wait a minute, there's an end credit scene. And then once it was over, I was like, I feel like I wanted to say, you know what, I'm sorry I wasted y'all time. But it seemed to set up a possible sequel, but honestly, by the end, I was just like, I don't really care. In the end, like I was really excited for this movie, and even though I enjoyed it, it's not as good as I thought it was going to be. And I really thought Matthew Vaughn, he was really gonna get back to his roots after finally stepping. And I thought Matthew Vaughn, he was gonna step back into his roots for a little bit after dealing with the Kingsman franchise for so long. I thought doing something different would kind of get his creative juices flowing, and it did. But at the same time, it still brought out some of his worst tendencies as a filmmaker, in my opinion. I'm gonna give Argylle the shoulder shrug emoji.